everyone. Welcome back to the Grit Daily Like a Boss podcast. And we've got Bill Gladstone. You may know him as an internationally best-selling author, or you may know him as a famous literary agent who's the face and the agent behind many, many, many stars on all of the books you read on Amazon. Or you may know him according to his new venture, ViCiNFT. So what does that really mean? Well, he's got a charitable and sustainable effort behind non-fungible tokens. So we're going to get into that. Hey, Bill, welcome to Like a Boss.
Pleasure to be here.
Let's get into this for the folks in our audience who are unfamiliar with NFTs, which are kind of all over the news these days, but let's tell them what it is.
Well, I didn't know what an NFT was 2 months ago, so no one should be embarrassed if they still don't know. It's been moving very quickly. NFT stands for non-fungible token. Non-fungible means non-reproducible. It's a one of a kind. And you have the certainty that it's one of a kind because blockchain technology is being used to trace the ownership and the contents of the token. The token can be anything. It could be a single picture. It could be a signature. It could be a video clip. It could be an audio clip. It could be a combination of those. It could also include, this is something that ViCiNFT is looking at doing, special physical goods that could be purchased by the owner of the NFT, provided that a certain minimum bid level is met. For example, we have people with very rare baseball cards and baseballs and footballs and other sports memorabilia. So that could be included, but initially it's only going to be the digital. You get the digital and you know for certain that it's what it is. It can't be copied. The other option that we're looking at with NFTs in the future is actually getting either a Zoom call or, when the pandemic ends, maybe even a lunch meeting with some of the celebrities and star athletes whose NFTs we're representing. So there's really no limit what you can include in an NFT auction. The auctions themselves, for the most part until now, have been held on sites which rely exclusively on cryptocurrency. I'm talking about OpenSea and some of the others. There are some notable exceptions. We as a company really want to find ways to avoid depending upon cryptocurrency. There are certain issues related to cryptocurrency, including its volatility, that make us, particularly since we want to be sure that our charities receive the primary benefit of our NFTs, that we're not dependent upon what's going on in the crypto world.
So let's backpedal a bit, because there's a couple of things that you raised there, and I want our guests to keep up here. So, number one, you talked about maybe the future of NFTs, where it's straddling the physical and the digital world, where you could own the actual item itself, in addition to the only thing that's available right now, which is the digital rights to the item, correct?
Correct. And I need to be clear, you don't actually even own the digital rights. If somebody puts, an essay they've written, you would own that original essay, but you wouldn't have the right to reproduce it and sell it. The copyright is not part of what you purchase when you purchase an NFT.
I think that's a really important distinction because NFTs are so new. In fact, I'll admit it, I didn't know that bit about it, and I'm a writer. So there you go. Glad to hear that. Now, the second part is really important because it speaks to the brand ethos behind ViCiNFT, which is that charitable component. This is one of the things that makes you folks stand out. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yes, I mean, the mission statement and the way we want to be known in the world is NFTs for the common good. So if you're going to be NFTs for the common good, you have to not only have an auction in which, in our case, we've decided absolute minimum is 25%. It can be as much as 75% going to a charity. The other charity that we've just completed an auction for is the Aquarium by the Bay in San Francisco. And in that case, again, 75% of the auction went specifically to the aquarium. The winner of that NFT acquired not just the digital component, which included a video of one of the most amazing seabass fish you'll ever see. He's a real character, but also naming rights to this fish and updates that'll be sent, every 6 months or so you know how your fish is doing. In addition, ViCiNFT is planting trees and donating to other environmental organizations from the 25% of the auction revenue that ViCiNFT retains to cover overhead and, of course, some profit. So we do think that our model is as environmental friendly as possible and as community friendly as possible. There is no limit to what a charity can do with NFTs. Everything that current charities are doing can be accelerated. For example, if there's artwork, and this happens, in a number of cases, that is auctioned in a silent auction, at a charity event. Well, don't stop there. Create an NFT of that art object, and then you can have sort of a second round of fundraising. So we think this is going to be huge.
And that's incredible. I think that is a huge differentiator, and want to get our listeners to get their heads wrapped around this. So not only is it a potential amplification opportunity for charities, as you said, but it's also an opportunity where, like you said, you talked about a few examples: sports memorabilia, might be an autograph. It could be an Instagram meme, a post. It could be a star. It could be a fish, right? It could be anything.
It absolutely could. And, there's no judging the market. I mean, I've seen some NFT auctions that have boggled my mind. Hundreds of thousands of dollars being spent for, like an essay that someone wrote. I mean, I'm shocked. I really am. It's not even someone who's, a Nobel Prize winning author. It's just an author, not an unknown author, but it's really remarkable, the frenzy that's being, for example, in our very first author auctions, we did rely on cryptocurrency, and I hadn't really done, they were my authors, at Waterside I represent a lot of authors. So I had chosen Victor Villaseñor and Irvin Laszlo, both of whom are in their 80s. Well, their primary fan base doesn't even know how to get cryptocurrency. I had like a dozen phone calls from people who wanted to bid, but they couldn't figure out how to do it because it really, if you're a young person, it's probably, seen as a piece of cake. I have to say, even in my case, I had my son do it because
See, there's the admissions that we like to hear about, right? That people are sharing on this show. They expose their vulnerability and they bring transparency to the forefront and they give us the real scoop, right? Everybody, if you've got a teenage kid, that's what you get them to do, right? That's the kind of stuff.
But in any event, so with authors, one of the benefits, and I think this is true for authors at any level of their career, they don't need to be famous. In fact, they could be a first-time author, but they could create an NFT, and the promotion of the NFT hopefully would at least cover the cost of the promotion. And so they'd be able to promote their upcoming book in a way that they wouldn't be able to if they weren't doing an NFT. And all authors need more promotion. Even Stephen King needs more promotion. We all need to let people know we're writing a book and when the book's going to be published and what it's about. And NFTs definitely will become a major source of promotion.
Absolutely. And now you can speak to that with authority because you've been on both sides of the book, shall we say, as an agent to some of the biggest names in the whole series behind the dummies, Windows for Dummies, and all of this stuff, as well as written, over a dozen books on your own. Maybe you can tell us about what attracted you to either being a writer on that side or what became more attractive as a literary agent.
Well,
why both?
I love this question because my parents on the answer to both sides of the equation. My mother really wanted to be a writer herself. And when I was growing up, she would give me these fabulous books to read and she would talk about all these writers. So I really had this, she presented them with this aura that being an author was really something special. And when I was 15 years old, she gave me the notebooks of Albert Camus, who had won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And those notebooks really changed my life. It was sort of coincidence, but the following year, I had an English teacher. I was studying actually in Barcelona with a program called School Year Abroad. And the assignment, because we were in a foreign country, was to keep a journal. And since I had just read Camus' journals, I was very inspired. And so I started keeping a journal for 2 years. And I ended up at Yale University, and I ended up taking a course with Jerzy Kaczynski, who had won the National Book Award. and he was giving this course, and actually I was a freshman and everyone else was a graduate student. Somehow I got into the course. And at the end of the course, you know, you had to turn in an essay. And I had run out of time. I was a college kid. And so I just took my notebooks that I had written over those 2 years and handed in segments. And I get, you know, I'm a little nervous. I'm meeting with this really famous author, teacher, and he looks at me and he says, you know, everyone who comes through this door for their meeting is hoping I'm going to tell them they have a lot of talent and they should become a great writer. And I've not said that to anybody, but I'm saying it to you. You're a really talented writer. So that really spurred me to want to be a writer and to feel that I had enough talent to really, you know, succeed. On the other hand, my father was a book publisher, and he had a different point of view. He said, writers, they're a dime a dozen. You'll never make a decent living. If you want to live the way we're living, don't be a writer. And it's true. The majority of writers make very, very little money. So I was pushed and pulled. I was pushed in one direction by my mom to be a writer, and then I was pulled to be in the business side by my father, the publisher. And then I ended up doing something that neither of them really felt had any chance of success, which is becoming a literary agent. Particularly at the time, I started my company, Waterside Productions, in San Diego, California, and there were no literary agents, and there were almost no publishers in all of California. So it was unlikely that I would be successful, but you know, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And the computer revolution took over, and I happened to be in the right place at the right time and ended up representing all these technical geniuses. And Waterside actually represented over 25% of all the best-selling computer books ever published. So, you know, I had a business and I didn't really look back.
Incredible. Now I'm going to ask you to look back, though. I'm going to give you some pixie dust, and I'm going to say, Bill, you get to go back in time. You get to change one thing. What do you change?
What do I change?
One thing.
I'm not sure I'd change anything, to tell you the truth. I mean, things have gone so well. I mean, on a professional, you wanted vulnerability. I would have made different decisions on some of my wives. I've been married 4 times. So I definitely have made some mistakes there. And some of those failed marriages may have had to do with an overzealousness related to my business. I really get excited. But I'm very fortunate. My present wife we've been together 15 years and counting, and we get along great. So don't believe 3 strikes and you're out. It can still happen. And, you know, I'm very grateful. But yeah, I definitely would say if there was anything I regretted, some of those marriages probably shouldn't have happened.
Well, there you go. We've had all kinds of things shared on this show, from like, don't overpluck your eyebrows to, you know, be careful who you marry, right? So it's all good. This is exactly what our audience loves. Now, another thing that our audience really likes to get into are tips, especially for the next generation of leaders. And everybody's, you know, very cavalier. Oh, I've done this, I've done that. Oh, it's easy. What do you advise in today's chaotic mid-COVID, post-COVID, I don't know, emerging COVID?
The most important advice I can give anyone is be kind. Be kind. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your family, be kind to everyone you work with, and be kind to strangers. Kindness is very, very valuable in your own success and in the success of the world. We have too much division. We have too much anger. We have too much special interests. There's nothing wrong with being passionate about what you believe and fighting as hard as you can to achieve your own personal goals. But when you do that, remember that people who possibly have a different point of view merit kindness. You know, you don't have to agree with them, but if you, I went to, my sister went to Smith College, and I remember I had to drive her up there, and Mendenhall, I think was his name, was the college president, and he gave this lecture, and I happened to be there, so I listened, and I've never forgotten it. He said the 3 Ps: patience, persistence, and politeness will get you far. Persistence. I have had so many business leaders tell me that they had so many failures, but what made the difference is they never gave up. They never quit. If you keep going, you have a chance of success. So politeness, I would put together with the kindness. Be polite, be kind, and then patience. It does take time to change the world, and you need to be patient. And this is a very hard one for me because I'm not by nature patient at all. I'm a very impatient individual, but over time, at least with really major initiatives, I have learned that patience is valuable.
And I love that you say be kind. That is actually one of the key tropes that I bring forward all of the time. Be kind to people and pets. That is my thing and what I stand for. So thank you so much for that. Let's return the favor. You've given us tips and all kinds of insights into NFTs, and ViCiNFT is focused on sustainability, focused on charitable contribution, and really just amplifying those so you can have a greater impact. What can our audience do for you, Bill?
Well, they should all go to the NFT website. I'm sure there's another auction going on right now. I'm not in charge of, when we have, but I know our goal is to have at least 5 to 10 auctions a week. So go to our site, find out what auctions are going on, and bid for some items. And then also think about what NFTs you might want to create and contact us. And, in the beginning, we are going to be focusing primarily on, superstars, but and the company is still, evolving its policies, but I'm a big believer that everyone deserves an opportunity. And I'm going to be pushing, if we can figure out a cost-effective way to do it, to really open this up so that everyone that has intellectual property or memorabilia can participate in this NFT revolution. So I encourage everyone who's listening to think of what items you might have, what kind of NFT you might want us to create with you.
Oh, fantastic. Now, Bill, the most important question of the podcast, and it is our signature question. If we got a peek into your closet, which pair of shoes in there really speaks to and represents your personality best? Is it boots, stilettos, sneakers, something else? What is it?
I have some nice shoes. I live in Southern California, so frankly, I don't even wear shoes all that often. Just when I go out to the beach, it's flip-flops. But I have several different, I like really soft leather slip-on shoes. And so I have several pairs that you would find and enjoy.
So that's you. So, all right, everyone, there we have it. We've had Bill Gladstone here, literary agent, internationally best-selling author, and the force behind ViCiNFT, creating an opportunity to amplify charitable contributions, do good, well, for the greater good, and to help with sustainability initiatives. Thank you so much for being on our show today, Bill.
It was a lot of fun. I hope I get a chance to come back and brag about some of our biggest NFT auctions, which I'm sure will be happening in the near future.
Oh, we'd love it. I mean, how do you go bigger beyond like selling a fish? I mean,
we've got some things up our sleeve.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bill.
Okay, take care.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?